Okay.
Hello, everyone! Welcome back to the RationalInvestor.co's Daily Brief. Woohoo! Woohoo! Hi, everybody. Good morning. Good morning. Another exciting day in the market, and actually, we got a nice little bullish breakout. Imagine that, an actual bullish chart pattern in crypto. It's a miracle! Yay! But anyway. Hopefully everybody got to watch the broiler chicken show that we did yesterday over the weekend. And actually we outlined a really cool setup that totally fired this morning. And actually, if I'm not mistaken, I think a few of our site participants were able to take advantage of that today. So rock on. I suppose we're back in the saddle. We've got Mr. Bear in the house. Mr. Bear, are you here today?
What's up? How are you?
Oh, awesome. Great to hear you. And we were chatting just before the show. Mr. Bear knocked the cover off the ball as usual. Geez, what a monster trader this guy is. So can't wait to hear all the exciting details about how you're taking the market's money. And we've got Alex here, but I'm not quite sure if Alex has got his audio working. He's in the jungles of Croatia, if I'm not mistaken, right now. Alex, are you there? Nope. I think Alex, those tigers, those Croatian tigers, have got him by the short and curlies right now. So, anyway, he may check in a bit, but great to see we've got a nice full room here this morning. Maybe just a gentle reminder: if you did join the lounge here, we'd actually appreciate if you could throw yourself on mute. I see we have somebody there, Beat So Low. Oh, thank you, Beat So Low. Awesome job. So, good morning, Mr. Bear. How are you feeling today?
I'm feeling great. How are you?
Okay. It's a very subdued response, but I suppose that's the sign of a trader. No emotion, just nice and flat, just business as usual. Alex has joined us back. Alex, are you here now? All right, those jungles of Croatia. Yeah, I can hear myself. Well, that might be a good sign, or maybe Brian's going crazy. Hey, there we are. Well, at least we are live on YouTube. Hi, Joseph. Nice to see you this morning. So a little bit of an odd start. Sorry, everybody, but we're sort of getting our feet solidly planted on the ground here. Alex is our newest show co-host. Don't worry about it, dude. It's all good. It's all good. So we're rocking and rolling. And when we do have Mr. Bear in the house, he's actually got a nice little path for us to follow. And I love that about working with him. So, Mr. Bear, where do you feel like taking us today?
I know everyone wants to hear crypto first, but we got to keep to a little structure here. Make sure we spend just a little bit of time on equities before we move into crypto. So let's take maybe, I don't know, call it 10 minutes or so and look at the broader market quickly before we jump into the excitement in crypto.
Stocks getting their asses kicked here, I see.
Yeah, stocks are coming off a little bit. We got the S&P coming off a good 10%. No, a good, yeah, 10%. That would be something, huh? Good, call it a 0.5% right now. We are reversing from yesterday. This was a pretty serious doji that came in here yesterday. No, that's Friday. I forgot the weekend went by already. But if today can close down around here, this would be what type of formation? Does anyone mind typing that into the chat box? I'm not sure which
right screen. Now, for whatever it's worth, we're looking at a lady and a bear having relations.
Oh, they're hugging. They're having a very non-sexual hug.
Oh, that's sweet. Okay. Whoa, look at that. Total shooting star. Son of a gun.
Yeah. So what's this formation going to be called here if we can close at this level of the preceding candle, second preceding candle? Give you a hint. It's got a Star Wars soundtrack to it.
Dun, 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 dun.
Yeah, there you go. So that'll be an empire. Thanks, Josh. And that's going to be a pretty strong reversal signal. We were kind of hoping that we'd see price action move back up into the 2,700 area. 2770 to 2780. But this is looking less and less likely as we go forward. things are looking bleak on the S&P. Now, moving to the Dow, same thing. We've kind of got this island top working here right now, but maybe not quite classical definition of island top, but nonetheless, this does.
That Dow just looks like Swiss cheese. That's
yeah. Not such a good look for stocks right now. Dollar is getting its butt handed to it as well. Looks like this thing's coming off today. That's a good 0.9%
You gotta
down.
be careful there, though, dude. Careful. I don't know whether your chart's updating or not.
You're right.
Because my chart shows the U.S. dollar's having a pretty good rally here today. Oh, yeah, there you go.
Friday's action was this downward day. And we've got, here's another good question. What candle pattern formation is this? This green bar here. Can anyone pick out what that is in relation to the preceding red bar?
Actually, it is a harami, isn't it?
Yeah, so what type?
And actually, this creates a really cool bull-bear battle zone. Because I think you're right, and I apologize if I didn't give the lounge, but it looks like a bunch of them got the answer correct. So, but the point here is, if we actually, and Thomas just asked you just a moment ago, if we break Friday's low, that confirms an empire. If, however, we can settle out right where we are right here, and then we tick up through today's highs, whoops, and the chart's gone. Okay, well, so much for that. If you want to pop on over to my chart.
Oh, sorry.
Boom. Alex, maybe you can share me. Thanks, Chief. And actually, it's interesting because we had the same thing happen on Bitcoin. But if we break below this low here, empire, just like Thomas was showing us on equities, and if we finish out here and then we tick up through this high tomorrow, that's a harami inside bar reversal. So actually, the U.S. dollar has come to a really powerful inflection point here. That's a great observation. Really, really powerful. Is it a rising wedge? I don't know. Is this high higher? This high is 95.53. This high is 95.53. So actually, Wayne, what does this make? And what do we say? And actually, this would be kind of a cool trivia question for everybody. What do we say if we ever see the market smiling at you? Anybody?
Turn off your emoji keyboard.
Yeah, it's getting ready to take your money, right? So it's fascinating. This is an incredibly powerful inflection point here. We fail through these lows, M's, empires, double tops, and probably, Wayne, this would be your rising wedge, like here to here, and then here to here. Is that what you're seeing? Is that what you're talking about, Wayne? Yeah. Long and short of it here, we fail through here. That breaks your wedge. And you know, for whatever it's worth, if people don't know it, if you're relatively new to trading, usually rising wedges are bearish. They're not sustainable. And then when we lose the wedge low, you know, you can see probably if we just come back, just do a simple 38.2 off of this range, probably going to have to come back down against these lows somewhere in there. You can see 38.2 is going to be a wash of these lows back to this trend line here, 200 SMA. And then, you know, maybe we fractal big head and shoulders top here or something. So really, really important battle point here for the US dollar index. And I would imagine that the euro probably looks the exact opposite. So we've been watching this euro closely over the past little while. Remember our talk about, is her name Julia de Klerk? Did I get that right?
Juliet
de Klerk. Oh, that was close. She's had this thesis that the euro should be rallying up into this red box up top here. And this war just continues, eh? What a war here. So frankly, I don't know how this thing's going to resolve. But if the US dollar, you know, whatever the resolution of the US dollar is, you're probably going to see the same exact opposite resolution in the euro. So fascinating times we live in here. Sorry to cut you off there, dude. I apologize. All right.
Do you follow her on Twitter?
I don't follow her. Maybe I do. I don't know. Is that her there?
Should. Yeah.
Can you grab that little Twitter link to her at Julia JDI? Is that what it is?
Yep.
All right, I'll go ahead and do that. All right. So what do you see in your currency charts?
Same thing. I think that we are definitely at an inflection point on the dollar. I think you covered it well. I don't think there's anything left that I would need to say about that. Just need to make sure that you have the same idea on gold and silver, that whatever happens in the dollar, the opposite will happen in gold and silver. I haven't seen silver break out from gold just yet. That's still very much range bound. It's kind of messy too if this chart kind of loads up. I mean, it is breaking down, but so is gold. But you can see that we need to lose 1, 2. And right now, this would be a third low if we were to reverse, which would mean that dollar weakness were to come into play, and this bullish harami that's showing itself today would have to be invalidated in the future. But of course, we could lose these lows and still hold on to these. And you'll see once I bring up this gold chart that it's got the same structural setup.
Man, those silver boys just fucking screwed the public there, right? Jesus, those guys are bastards.
So same two levels here on gold. You've got this low here that's being tested right now. And then, of course, you have this down at 1,200. So I think there's a lot of potential. There's 2 potential reversal levels here on the marketplace. And we need to breach this first one here in order for us to get super duper bearish. I don't think that's going to happen because if you look at the fib retracements, we're in a reload zone. We're almost at 78.6. So, I mean, I could see the dollar breaking down here and pushing gold higher. You can also see Willie is oversold. And we do have, well, we don't really have any divergences in the workings just yet. But definitely some preliminary data.
Does not look happy though, eh?
Yeah. But we'll see what happens here. You got to wait for our market structure because every day we're making new lows here on gold. And today
that's just it. And if you look at my screen here, I don't know whether you can see my screen. I've got this AB equals CD working. I think this market's got to come down, tag this 6 Mountain Man level.
Yeah, could be.
And we just broke to new lows here this morning on the gold. And actually, it was interesting. I was watching we have like a whole bunch of hedges on. And look at the gold versus Bitcoin right now. I mean, it's just gold's getting its fucking ass kicked by Bitcoin here today. So I don't know, man. When I look at this gold chart, to me, everything says, yeah, the market is stupidly oversold. So guess who's selling down here? Any idea who might be selling? Let's see if we can. Arnie Lemo. Alex. Do I know Alex? I don't know whether I know Alex. Beat a slow. Bill. Oh, there's a bunch of cool people here I've never seen before. Hey, look at that cute little doggy. Hi, John. Yeah, it's a cute dog you got there, John. When we see Willie stupidly oversold, who is it that's probably selling here, right? It's the public always coming in and panic dumping. But the irony of it all is we're probably, I guess about $30 or $40 away from an ultimate objective. So this is, number one reason we can't justify a trade just because Willie's stupid. I mean, it is a good sign. As Thomas said a moment ago, I don't see any bullish divergence in the gold price here just yet. And when I look at this OBV, this looks like a fucking train wreck. So, for those people that are trend following, this was a massive distribution. So if I look at all this, this suggests to me that the US dollar is going to break higher, but we'll see. Only time will tell. And again, like Thomas just showed you there briefly in the silver, these guys are notorious crooks. And holy Jesus, who could tell me what pattern this is? Hello, come in Tokyo. Does anybody know what this is? In gilding. Oh, I like that. I mean, I don't know where we're going to close here today, but that's about as bearish a candle, one-day candle as you could possibly get. And of course, what did we say, Wayne? What did we say if we ever see the market smiling at us?
Hide your kids, hide your wife.
Oh, jeez. That's not good. That's just not good. So yeah, again, I would say looking at this anecdotally, and remember we looked at the gold stocks and stuff like that, and it might be interesting. Let's see if Alio is getting anywhere close to my target. I wanted to try and buy some of this at about $1.50. We're sitting at 191. We hit a low at 176, and usually the gold and silver like to bottom, like July, August kind of period. So yeah, I got to be patient and just wait for that gap to be filled in at $1.50. If I zoom out on the silver chart, that's what you wanted me to look at. If anything, this is probably a really good example of an incredibly tight wedge. They tried to break it out through the top, complete failure, and now dump through all these lows, and with an engulfing pattern too. Oh, that's about as evil gets. Typical silver jerks. Those guys are such jerks, I swear.
And they'll probably run the market the opposite direction tomorrow.
Well, I wouldn't be surprised. You can see where the POC is, right? So this is where all the smart money is long. And we're now at the point, do we accept below value? So we actually, for this market to actually really start ramping down, and, again, engulfing pattern, that's a good way to start it off. We have to see the market actually accept below value, and then, woohoo, it's a big down run. Good old Hoagie, he's sitting here actually with his buy orders right down here looking for a revisit of value high. So that's a really good point. I mean, is this really a good trade location for us? I don't think so. It's a bit dangerous. If anything, what you want to do is draw your reload zones against these highs. And if you are thinking about shorting, probably want to target a nice little dead cat bounce again up into the POC here. But wow, I mean, just 1 day bar. And of course, it's the beginning of the day. Who knows how this day is going to finish. But gee whiz, that's about as nasty 1 day price bars actually get. So, and I know a lot of, hopefully everybody in this community understands Brian has to basically turn into a commodity bear now for the next 15 years, I guess 17 and a half years. It's going to be a tough pill to swallow because, it's just like the dot-com boom. Nortel Networks, which at that point represented 35% of the Canadian stock market. So do you think that people were long Nortel Networks? Well, fuck yeah. How do you get the stock to be 35% of the market? Everybody's got to buy it. And yet it was like pulling teeth to get people to stop buying stocks like Nortel in 2001, 2002. And of course, Nortel is gone off the board. It doesn't exist anymore. So I understand if I make references to being a commodity bear right now, that's a tough pill for the public to swallow. But, the proof of the pudding is in the eating, and that's one nasty M if I've ever seen one. Okay, I apologize taking way too much time here talking. Where do you want to take us next, sir?
Time to sing, my friend.
Oh, boy. Bitcoin tastes great. Bitcoin. That was one hell of a breakout. Woohoo! Look at that rally, eh? Damn. That's a stone cold honky. I actually went and picked up some Ethereum, or I don't know, again, I've made that mistake a couple times, from ETC yesterday. I'm glad that trade's working. I wasn't able to get in on the Bitcoin breakout. It was such a nice one. The breakout came literally the moment I woke up this morning. And actually, I think Thomas was even making reference to that before we got started, eh? All right, so what are you seeing in the old Bitcoin price?
Yeah, that was pretty funny. I posted this morning. I've been trading the Ethereum. I've been trading Ethereum on leverage now instead of Bitcoin. I still haven't taken a Bitcoin leverage trade since I've moved on to Litecoin and Ethereum trading.
You're just having too much fun with them, eh?
I mean, there's just, I don't know what it is, but for whatever reason, I am enjoying trading these two names over Bitcoin right now. And it's funny, I posted a chart in the lounge maybe 2 minutes before you woke up, and this candle here was at 452, and we were testing these wicks up here. And I posted my chart, and I was like, well, it's 9:30 in the morning. We're either going for a liquidity hunt so that New York can set themselves up short, or they've decided to buy this market, and we're going to zoom higher. And not 2 minutes later, you come in and you're just like, break out, it's going higher. And I'm just like, oh, I guess it broke out higher, which triggered my long at roughly 454. And that was really, this was an anecdotal account here of what's happened from my end, is that OKCoin put me in a 20x leverage long. And I don't like being 20x leverage long on most of my trades anymore. I prefer to be at 10x. I used to like 20, but 10 is safer. And I had my account set at 10x, but they threw me into this 20x leverage long. And I had to do some quick work on my toes to get in and out and back into a 10x leverage trade on the long side. And my target was none other than our best friend, Mr. Mountain Man. And you can see where I set my levels, 401 on the low and 536 at the high. And really, I'm using Ethereum here because Bitcoin, Ethereum, Litecoin, all these markets, in my opinion, are all moving in lockstep. And it's the same market structure formations. So pretty much anything that I'm doing here on Ethereum is going to correlate pretty closely to Bitcoin. I'll go and move into the Bitcoin chart just to make sure, so I can ensure that I'm not giving false levels here that don't correlate across assets. But my target here,
Ethereum broke to new lows there, though, because Bitcoin didn't break those lows. Just an interesting observation.
It's an interesting observation for sure. So I set I drew this red line. I don't know when I drew it, but I had this as an area of support and resistance. So this became what was supposed to be resistance on the downside, but it got cut through like Swiss cheese. So support I still say again.
Support on the downside.
Did I say resistance? I'm just dyslexic. We're gonna have to get over the Thomas. It's opposite day for Thomas sometimes. Sorry about that. But this was supposed to function as support, but it did not very well. And in this case, I had this red line drawn because I anticipated it acting as resistance on the upside on the opposite end of the move. And that correlated really nice to Mountain Man. And that was my target.
If you can come up with levels like that, I mean, look how the fucking market just stopped right on your level. Yep, if you can come up with levels like that, you want to call that spaghetti? Fine. We'll call it spaghetti. I don't really care. That fucking level is sick, dude. Way to go.
So that's where I closed my position out, and I don't have anything on anymore. I took I think I got 55% on this trade that broke out from here. I had another trade. Well, I said on Friday, I didn't have any positions open. Friday's trade set itself up on the 30-minute chart, and I said if I was going to eye anything, it was this divergence here, and this came in like later in the day on Friday, where it confirmed here, and then we got our market structure breakout. And anyone that has classes with me, or tutorials, excuse me, they know how I would play this market. And that was just a break above this level here. And that triggered my long. And my target was in the 38.2 area. And I closed it out at the 450 range. And I just did nothing this weekend as it went sideways. I didn't think about the market at all until I woke up this morning at 9 o'clock in the morning. And I'm watching this thing trying to break out. So I had two really awesome trades in a row. This one was actually 150%, 100% on the upside, and this one was a 50% profit. So pretty nice trades for me. So I want to go to Bitcoin quickly.
And everybody, let's give Thomas nice golf clap. Nice trading, dude. Congrats.
Thank you. So Wayne's like, Thomas is top the market.
Excellent job.
Yeah, so this is fun. Like trading like this is what I enjoy, is movements back and forth.
Did everybody notice? I think this is really important to everybody. Seriously. Did everybody notice that, over the past few days, Thomas is like, well, there's just nothing here. It's no big deal. Just relax. There's nothing to do. There's nothing here. Then all of a sudden, bang, 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 bang. He just racks up a whole bunch of profits. And that, guys, is a trader's life, where you have to have the patience and discipline, if there's just nothing there, to do nothing. And then all of a sudden they come in and he's just trading like the fucking wind. So, I love living vicariously through guys like Thomas because it's just so pro. Again, well done, sir.
Thank you, sir. And it, of course, is all possible because of you. None of
this. No. This is you, dude. It's all you.
Well,
I got to throw that right back at you.
you taught me how to fish for a lifetime. All right, so enough back scratching, I suppose, and thank you for the compliments. Very much appreciated. Bitcoin here is not at the same levels as Ethereum in terms of Mountain Man, although let me go down in time frame just to make sure that I get that right. So before I move on to the higher time frames, I just want to finish my thought with the levels on Ethereum and see if how those are correlating here with Bitcoin. And it looks to me like I need to scroll out. So it looks like this is 50% level that it tagged. So it's really funny. Like I'm gravitating toward the areas that I know where my targets can be hit. So for me, when I see
Dude. Notice everybody, his 61.8 there, 70.40. Then you pop on over my screen. Notice where the bot target is, 70.20. So my hunch is we got a date with another Mountain Man level there. Sorry, didn't mean to interrupt. I apologize.
I want to, you know, of course, you need to pick up the ball soon here and talk about your levels. But I know you had a bot working, and you know this does correlate really well. ABCD bot levels, whatever it is. These harmonics are lining up and giving us a pretty nice picture of where we need to be looking at in terms of potential targets for a longer term, right? So I'm in and out of trades very quickly because when I rack up 50 to 100% on a trade, I have no choice but to take that, right? Like, how are you going to walk away from doubling your money in 25 minutes? It's really hard not to just take the money and run. And that's certainly improved my trading. But for the rest of the community here, there's the continuation trade that's working, and we are consolidating at the 50% level on Bitcoin, and again, Mountain Man on Ethereum. And you can see why we're consolidating on these levels. If you look left, it's kind of obvious. That's just where the traffic is. That's where a lot of orders were sitting. That's where a lot of business was being done. And interestingly enough, I think that this area here correlates really well to this area. Oh, of course it does. So it's interesting that Bitcoin has reached this area, but Ethereum has not gone up and retested this area just yet. So Bitcoin or Ethereum has a bit of catching up, and if Bitcoin can continue moving higher through this area of traffic here on the left, you can see that it's clear sailing all the way up to this level. And I would even be so bold as to draw a 200% extension off of this area here and try to use that as a profit target. If we were to break above here, that next area would be in this this range here, which is the $76,000 to $8,000 range. And actually, I do have the 200% extension drawn, which is just shy of 8,000 on the forwards contract. So
that makes a lot of sense too, because in essence, that 200% extension is nothing more than a head and shoulders target, eh?
Yeah, and you have your daily chart. So I want you to show that right after I say this, and I'm going to give you the ball because I'm yapping a little too much. But the one thing that's important,
man. You're doing fucking awesome.
Thank you, sir. The important thing here is this red line here. We've been talking about this goddamn MACD for, it seems like forever. We're just like, oh, it's confirmed, but we got to wait for the market structure. And it's like, oh, shit, no market structure. Oh, look, another divergence. Is it going to go? No market structure, no confirmation. Now, if I can get this chatter a little better, just view, you can see that we've got this bullish MACD divergence working. And lo and behold, we're about to confirm not only a single divergence, but a double divergence here. And we all know what Brian loves. And that's what we're waiting to confirm. So today, a close above this red line on the MACD will give us our bullish divergence. Now, the other problem we need is, I mean, not the other problem, but the other component we need is real market structure to come in. And this is our market structure bottom. This sideways W here is good enough for me to work with. It may be a little slopey on the upside, but hey, you got to take what you can get, and this market does look like it wants to explode to the upside. So I will be getting very bullish after today's close. And if you do want to play higher time frame entries, I mean, here's the problem, right? You don't know how fast a market's going to move. Is it, a quick elevator ride upward, and then we just come back down again? And is this just a simple bounce is the real question, right? So I was talking maybe weeks ago that if we do see a bounce, I would see this bounce going higher than this range here to suck people in to test this area here. I don't think that this area would hold as resistance to the upside, whereas this area here would, and that's the $8,500 to $10,000 area. I don't think we have, and I hate to say this, and it's early in the game, of course, so take this with a grain of salt. This is my personal opinion. Whatever that means to you, it's not, the word of, this isn't the word, right? So I don't think that this is the bottom. I mean, if you look at the weekly, yeah, we're putting in a potential bullish divergence, but we don't have market structure on the weekly. So we could come back down and test this area. And that's why I'm saying on the daily chart, if you do want to play this, I wouldn't be chasing this per se, because I think, and again, this is all about markets moving and elevator directions and velocity. I think what I like to, and what I normally talk about is retests of neckline breakouts. And I could see the market coming down, I guess it's not even that much, but it would be $150 to the downside, and retesting this area in here. Maybe if we made this a little wider from the 6,200 to 6,450 area, that's where I could see the market consolidating again. Now, the other part and the caveat to all this is that the moving averages haven't crossed yet. So I think it's still early. Now, if it does zoom higher, then you'll see the moving averages cross. And then I like to see tags of moving averages before price continues to move higher. So these two things are, if you call them jumper cables, Brian calls it a moving average sandwich. I call this the jumper cable setup. And whichever way this thing moves is really the direction the market wants to take. And that's what we have to wait and see for today, tomorrow, and really the next week. Tuesday, Wednesday kill zones are going to be crucial for this market. You can see that longs are starting to pile in massively and shorts are dropping off. Any moves higher into this area here, and you have to assume that the market isn't going to move completely higher. This is a great market to be trading. You've got your counter trend rally working. Set your bids, do your plan stuff, and I'm going to hand the ball over to Brian because I think I'm rambling here. So all yours now, Chief.
I thought you did great. There isn't, I mean, you touched on a bunch of stuff that I would agree. Call it a moving average sandwich, call it jumper cables, whatever. Bottom line, I think price is kind of contained right here. If you look at my chart, we have a, a high-low trend line that I think is going to act as resistance here in the short term. You can imagine there's going to be some range traders that are going to take short shots against this high. So what a shock. If we look at reload zones, gee whiz, the market stopped basically right in that reload zone. And, 30 SMA, like you saw on Thomas's chart, I've worked with these moving averages for years and years and years. Now let's see if I can find the right chart.
Yeah, just so you know, Brian, my moving averages, I'm only using the 13 and the 30.
Yeah, that's good, and I love those.
Cool.
What I wanted to show here, this is the Phoenix chart. So I have that 13 and 30 on there. You can see the sandwich. We had talked yesterday about this little bull flag that seems to be firing now. And actually, ironically enough, this is actually usually how it goes, is about 2/3 the apex. So I don't know whether that's accurate or not. But long and short of it here, 30 SMA usually acts as a bit of a pivot, for the sort of medium-term trend. Test of these key lows. And as Thomas said just a moment ago, this area right up here, probably a whole bunch of stop loss orders are just sitting right up above this level. So now as the market is pushing higher here, this literally becomes like a magnet. That, we call these like liquidity pools. You probably heard us made that reference before. But if we actually look at this just this pattern right here. Like we said, I think there's, we got 30 SMA. That's going to act as sort of a breaker here in the short term. Horizontal support and resistance. Maybe we can stab up. That's that 7,000 level, that bullish bot level. But what I'm kind of thinking when I see this is, number one, do we finally get the moving averages to cross, and we can actually get the institutions back on the buy side? You can see, and I often like to see two W's come out of momentum indicators. The first W, like we talked about in the, actually I think we did it off of this chart with the RSI study. The first W sort of stops the bear. And then the second W, and it's not much of a W, but it plays that little bullish bot setup that we talked about. That's your trade signal. And that fired right in here yesterday. In the Japanese market, you can see wicks and tails. It makes a lot of sense, again, if we do like smaller reload zones, why the market's running into resistance here. As well, we also, and let's see if I can find it. This is going to test Brian. Before I get to that, I just wanted to show you one other thing. Let's see if I can find it on here. Yeah, this one. We had been posting in the lounge for a while here about this megaphone pattern. And I know it's awfully hard to see with all these lines on the charts. But in essence, doink, 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 big surprise, doink, stall. Can we A, B, C, D our way out of here and just leave this megaphone? Only time will tell. Right, if we slip back below the megaphone, then we're probably going to have to come back down here. But really, it doesn't surprise me that we came up and found some resistance up in that area. And then what I'm sort of seeing is, it looks to me like let's see whether we can find it here. One of these crazy charts, I just had it on here a moment ago. Where'd it go? Yeah, around here somewhere. Where are you, Mr. Chart? Fudge. Sorry, guys. Maybe it was back here. Nope, not there. I'll find it. Give me a second. Actually, here. This is what I wanted to show you. If we sort of ask ourselves, okay, so it seems there's a bit of resistance up in this area, high-low trend lines, 30 SMAs, blah, 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 blah. What could this maybe look like? I can definitely tell you, like the Chicago boys, they opened up Chicago with a gap this morning, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, so you can see they went out on Friday and they opened up here today. So we're going to have to do another one of these studies here. In essence, there's a hole in the charts. You can see the Chicago boys. They got behind here this morning, huge gap. I wouldn't be surprised if we actually have to come down and notice that this low here, right there, corresponds with the original breakout. And that would be basically filling in that gap there. As well, too, we have this kilo. That's going to be support. So you can see we almost have like a trade zone already setting itself up. And you can see for the Chicago boys, Willie's already stupid, and we've got a potential divergence actually forming here. So I think on balance, it makes sense. Tuesday, Wednesday kill zones, looking for, some sort of pivot through here. To set up the next leg. And so why do I sort of think that? Because when we look at the higher time frame charts, it seems to me if we're going to, get those 30, 13 EMAs to start setting up bullishly, we need to do a little bit more consolidation. And, what do bottoms typically look like? They often look very fractally. I would be really surprised if we just went straight up here. That's not usually how markets like to operate. I do think ultimately that we're probably heading up into 38.2 Ray Burchett. That's sitting at 7,500. There's Thomas's liquidity pool. But the thing here is it's got to get some, it's had this big push. So there was a bunch of buyers that came in. Now the question is, have we run out of buyers? And if we start to see divergences and stuff on the lower time frame charts, that Chicago chart kind of thing, well, that's sort of the anecdotal evidence that she's running out of steam. So they're going to have to reload, right, and sort of back the truck up. And that might form this very polite head and shoulders pattern. And then as Thomas was pointing out before, if we do extensions off of that range, then 200% lines up nicely with, well, there's 38.2, but I guess 200%, 79.72 off of this range is going to set up with a run against that liquidity pool that we talked about up top here. And that would just be a nice little natural head and shoulders reversal target here. So I think we're still a bit early. This might take a week or two to play out. If anything, guys, I'd actually it's nice that we got off our asses here. That's encouraging. It's nice that we've established a bit of a floor here. You can see there's, the people that missed the trade, they're going to be interested if we can get back down into this original breakout level, Chicago boys, gaps, all that kind of talk. Is it a good idea to go and buy the market here? Well, no. And in actual fact, the trade, as we sort of talked about, and what's really cool about this is I totally laid this out on the Broiler Chicken show yesterday. I mean, this was a beautiful, and as I sort of said in the Broiler Chicken show yesterday, this is the ideal way the bot works, is that the market puts in market structure, and you absolutely love when you get this nice tight market structure against a V bottom here, and the market reverses and confirms a big ass W. That's awesome. And the bot trade is the continuation, but you can see that the bot actually right now has had its move stop to scratch level hit. So if you were able to front run the bot, then actually if we pull back down to here, you probably should walk away because this thing might just crap out, right? We don't have any divergence here, and volume looks sexy here. So I'm not looking for the crap out, but the problem is it's not really, if we do pull back to the original breakout point, then you're probably best just to hop off and walk away. I don't think it's a good idea to chase the trade here, but if you did want to participate on this, there's no reason why you couldn't drill down to, like, say, a 10-minute chart and try and bot your way into this position on any kind of pullback. So, if we do pull back against these lows that were put in overnight, and we set up the bot setup, you'll notice 33%. That was that original. Actually, no, that came out afterwards. So that level has not been hit yet. If you wanted to bot your way into here, then ideally we'd love to see the market just sort of calm down, put in a nice W, and start working its way higher. And you can see the bot levels working away. But we do have to acknowledge that if the market does come back down below this level here, the original 25, that we're probably best just to cool our jets. So if you are interested in participating in this, and like say you're part of the day trader group and you're hunting setups off a lower time frame, that's sort of what I would be thinking right now to try and participate in this move up. But it's way too early, just even as of yet, for us to be hunting this. This is going to take some time to develop here. So put it all together. Got to feel a lot better. We finally have a situation where we're starting to see higher highs and higher lows. It's been a while since we've seen that. And there you go. Somebody just farted. So that's probably a good sign.
Sorry.
But on balance, I'm feeling positive. And as I said, I went and strapped on a cute little, almost made the mistake again, ETC long. But a little concerned about this guy here. You can see we made a higher high this morning, but we didn't make a higher high in volume, and we didn't make a higher high in momentum. So I don't know whether it's party time yet here, but this is a trade that I'm interested in participating off a higher time frame. I'm more than happy just to let this work away. And sort of the same kind of thing that we talked about with Ethereum and Bitcoin and stuff. Now it feels like we're in that time to climb the wall of worry kind of market. So that's sort of how I'm feeling right now. It's encouraging. I mean, we've stopped the slide. We're probably a little bit early for us to get like, rah, rah, this is the bull face rip up. We're still more just, we have to go up and test Ray Burchett's 38.2 to see whether this is actually a bottom and this is for real. And then my hunch is after this test is done, if we get any sort of pullback, that's going to be another buying window for us, maybe a month or two down the road. And then if this really is a bull, and the reason why I kind of like this trade here is that Mr. Silbert he's even publicly coming out and saying, 2019, get ready to rock and roll. So usually the markets like to bottom a good 6 months or so ahead of the market. If 2019 is rock and roll, then that means we're going to be rocking and rolling, probably breaking out to new highs, blah, 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 blah. So I want to be in there hunting long setups off the bottom now. I might get stopped out here. You never know in this crazy game. But I do like the idea that we're finally starting to get the first signs of our sort of seasonal bottom here. It's taken an awful long time for this damn market to turn. I'll give you that much, by crackers. All right. I don't know whether there's a heck of a lot else I can add to the conversation today. Was there anything news-wise that we wanted to talk a little bit about? I did see that I think the main reason why Bitcoin popped and rallied here was because of the Coinbase news. Do we have a link for the Coinbase news this morning? Mr. Bear, are you around? There you are. You can see on Mr. Bear's screen, Coinbase custody is officially open for business.
Yeah, last week, Coinbase Custody accepted its first deposit of 10 billion Bitcoins. Just kidding. But they did finally open up this custodial account to institutions or whoever else wants it, where they will hold your crypto assets, and they are insured. So right now it says they're currently responsible for more than $20 billion. That's pretty crazy amount of money here. So they're offering all these unique features, and it finally went live. I guess it was today. So that's great. I mean, last week they took their first deposit. Whether or not this is open to regular retail investors, I'm not sure yet, but it does look like this is open to institutional investors. So this is kind of another way that institutions can enter the space with more certainty and insurance, so that they know that, hey, if we hold our own coins, we're probably not going to secure them properly unless we hire someone who has the right background. And Coinbase is like, hey, we're just going to offer this. We already know the space. We have the security in place. And now we have everything ready for, it's an alternative on-ramp at this point.
Do we have a timestamp of when that news article was posted?
It just says July 2nd. It looks like the tweet came out on Coin. Well, we can check Coinbase and see what.
I remember Wayne actually said that I had posted a tweet of them, and they had actually deleted that tweet and then retweeted another tweet. So I don't know whether the tweets are going to be when that news first came out. But it would be interesting to go to Coinbase and see if they actually have an actual timestamp of when they first put that out.
So it looks like this tweet came out 3 hours ago. So that was 9:49 in the morning Eastern.
9:49. So that,
I mean, it could be the minutes might be off because Twitter's not giving you the exact time, right?
Yeah, that looks like that's 9:49. That would sort of correspond to after the rally. I got a funny feeling that came out a little bit earlier than that. But anyway, that's here nor there. It's a good question though, Wayne. Is the dog wagging the tail, or is the tail wagging the dog? I don't know. But I did see a lot of corresponding sort of, alignment, if you will, with that news release and when the market popped there. All right. Is there anything else newsworthy that we've seen?
Yeah, there's a couple things. I don't know if anyone remembers BTCC, which was they were responsible for all the fake volume that was pouring into crypto years ago. I guess 9 months ago, and they shut down, and now they're back.
So a lot of the wash trading and funky volume that was being seen out of the Chinese exchanges was mostly coming from this place here. And now they're open again. So we'll see how that affects volumes and whether or not that's going to impact the fake, stories that we keep seeing coming out about fake volumes being manipulated by these exchanges and wash trades, kind of like what there's an article that I have that Kraken was accused by Bloomberg of doing wash trades and essentially pumping up their volume with fake tether trades. And Kraken came out and actually gave a pretty decent response with some good data to back what Bloomberg was wrong about, and basically laid the smackdown on Bloomberg based on these wash trades and tether transactions, and basically saying that whatever Bloomberg was saying was completely wrong. And if you're interested in reading this, I think it's probably best if it's just read by the individual, because it's kind of a little dry here. But this is in the lounge, and I'll also stick this in the chat. So it's just kind of cool to see these exchanges rallying against the media outlets who for so long are just spreading misinformation and doing all kinds of stupid shit that just pisses people off in the crypto community that know very well what's being pumped out is wrong, it is misinformation. So it's good to see an exchange that has lots of users and lots of followers come out with something like this to prove otherwise. But unfortunately, that's probably not going to help the confidence that the retail public has in these exchanges, mainly because they're still the kind of people that are going to be paying attention to your CNBC and your Bloomberg TV broadcasts.
Isn't it cool though how, and this is just a question for you guys, but isn't it cool how you can actually see the difference between the uninformed, these media sort of megaliths now, and reality? I find it fascinating. And because you guys know the space, the difference between BCH and BTC, and the makeup of Ripple and stuff like that. I mean, you guys, I hope you all realize, I don't know whether you do or not, but in a weird sort of way, all of you guys, because we have this funny little pocket, this little niche where we're going to teach you how to manage behavior and manage trading and all that kind of stuff. But also at the same time too, because you are crypto enthusiasts, I hope you all realize the important role that all of you have to play in keeping these megaliths, because that's what they are. They're just for-profit corporations now. They're not really classic journalism anymore. I hope you guys realize the important role you have to play, especially someone like you, Shane, right, to keep these people honest and try and hold them for account. Well, I just see you down there. You said, oh, for sure. And I consider you a leader in this space. So, you have an added responsibility. I don't know whether everybody saw, but like one of the major media outlets actually picked up one of Shane's tweets about Dogecoin. And I was like reading through it. I go, hey, I know that guy, which is so cool. It just goes to show that we've got the knowledgeable peeps in TRI's community here. So. All right. Didn't mean to go off on a tangent there. I apologize. But long and short of it, I think great information as always, Thomas. You bring it every single broadcast. I'm so privileged to be hanging out with all of you, and I get to listen to Thomas on a daily basis. So awesome.
Wait, so I have
Stuart, are you smiling today? I want to see a smile on your face. I was giving Stuart a hard time on the broiler chicken show yesterday because he wasn't smiling. Anyway, I'm sorry, sir. What were you about to say?
I think there's some really important information coming out here from the SEC that might be partially driving this price higher. Is that we kind of lost track of the story over the last few months. I think it was actually, I don't even remember the time frame, but the SEC has been eyeing the approval of a Bitcoin or blockchain-based ETF product. Ooh. And they had started months ago the process to get that going, where it required community response, and then SEC review, and then they would boil down what they thought was a good idea to move forward, and then release that again, expecting criticism. I don't know if it was from within the SEC or from institutional players who would be involved in the ETF process. But essentially, I think we're at the end of that time frame where the SEC can make a decision soon. Now, this article doesn't talk directly about that. What they're more talking about is that the SEC wouldn't be more likely to approve ETFs that are based for blockchain companies. So any company that invests in blockchain technology could potentially be a part of this basket of products that the ETF would issue. Now, the real meat and potatoes of what we really want to know is there going to be a goddamn crypto ETF? Is there going to be a Bitcoin ETF, an Ethereum ETF? I mean, when are we going to see crypto hit these markets? And there are some documents published. It says, indeed, the SEC is seeking public feedback on an application by CBOE Global to list an ETF with Bitcoin shares backed by VanEck and SolidX in documents published by the SEC. So I just saw this now. I haven't read through this PDF. It's 53 freaking pages of probably government financial mumbo jumbo crap that I'm going to need a fine-tooth comb to get through. But essentially, this is probably one of the most important documents going forward here for anyone to read, right? So if you can get a basic idea, and this is what I'm going to need to do also, of whether or not the SEC is interested or willing to approve an ETF by these two companies who, if they are Bitcoin shares, you would have to understand how that relates to Bitcoin directly. And
that's probably why Silbert is getting all excited here, right?
Yeah, so maybe, I think last we checked, he was trying to get an ETF approved for himself too. So if a Bitcoin ETF went live with whatever this BitShares stuff is, and or Bitcoin shares, not BitShares, combine that with Ethereum and then Ethereum Classic, now all of a sudden you're looking at, wow, now we have three major names, and instead of it being Bitcoin, Ethereum, Litecoin, or Bitcoin, Ethereum, Ripple, which is a joke, or Bitcoin, Ethereum, Bitcoin Cash, which is also a joke, it might be Bitcoin, Ethereum, and Ethereum Classic as the three senior names, if you will. But make no mistake about it, if something like this gets approved, this will most certainly be the institutional on-ramp necessary to see price go and retest old highs, or at least get out of this bear market, right? That's what I think the entire marketplace is waiting for. And this is kind of what, if anyone watched the Arthur Hayes interview on CNBC, I think Tom posted that in the lounge on Friday or Saturday. It was a great interview. I love this guy. Arthur Hayes is the CEO of BitMEX, and he's just so well-spoken, so well put together. He's such a
player, right? That guy's a total fucking player.
He is, but what he said was just so perfect and so true. It was probably the most honest interview I've seen on CNBC that was realistic in that he said, we are a regulatory decision away from $50,000. And I think that's just so true, right? Because anyone with lots of money isn't going to put money on the line unless they know for sure that it's safe to do that. And if the SEC is like, well, we're not sure what to do, you're not going to risk 100, 200, whatever, half a billion dollars, or even $1 billion, whatever it is. They're not going to risk that unless it's perfectly safe. And I think that's what this entire this whole space is waiting for. And if this SEC decision approves those things, I mean, we're off to the races at that point. It'll be more probably a whole different scene than it was when the CBOE futures went online. So I think that's what the market's waiting for. This might be just a quick bounce because we've been doing nothing but going downward for the last few weeks and months. But I think we do need a fundamental driver, and that certainly would be it. So we will certainly keep our eyes peeled. And I'm going to post this, in the YouTube comments. I'm going to be driving all day today, so I won't have a chance to read it today. But if anyone wants to do that and can give a great summary, I mean, I know I would appreciate it. I'm sure everyone in this community would appreciate it. I just wish that I could get through this so I could have something for tomorrow. And I don't think I'll be able to do that. So if anyone wants to volunteer, we would most certainly love that if you can get a feel for this document. That'll certainly give us an edge here going forward.
Okay, actually, we made a good point there. Seward was here to give us a site update, progress report. So we'll have to try and get a report from him tomorrow. If you could maybe just, I don't know, I'm getting an echo back from somebody. But maybe I asked Stuart if he could maybe come on and give us a site update tomorrow. So thank you very much, Thomas. That's great stuff. And I'll try and give it a read, but it might put me to sleep, but I'll try my best.
Yeah, that's the other problem.
Okay, well, that's the top of the hour, guys. What do you feel? Do you feel like did anybody get any value out of anything that was said today? Sure, hope so. I think we've done an excellent job explaining sort of what our short-term outlook is here on price. It's often nice to see. We did actually confirm some of the short-term bullish reversals that we saw forming yesterday, so that's good. You know, I wouldn't be surprised if we have to do a little bit of backfilling now here. So by all means, you know, let's go slow. Don't chase. Just wait for your setups to come in. Thomas, of course, bringing it every day for you. So, you know, thank you very much, sir. Alex, off in the jungles of Croatia right now. So thank you for getting the show up and running. We teased you a little bit there this morning with a public link, but we corrected that. But on balance, man, no way, man. You're fucking awesome. And we got to get through these sort of, you know, like growing pains, right, to get you all set up. So if anything, now you know what not to do going forward. Thank you, everybody, for participating. Nice to see a pretty active YouTube group over there. A good 60 people on the YouTube page, and, of course, a full lounge. So great to see lots of interaction on the site. It is a holiday here in Canada, so things are pretty quiet here in Canada today, but I'll be around the site. If you have any questions, feel free to ask. And of course, yeah, there's a big holiday in the States on Wednesday. So this is going to be kind of a funny week anyway. So go slowly, hunt those setups, play from a position of strength, get those trading plans all nice and tickety-boo, and make sure you're playing from a position of strength. And we'll see everybody first thing tomorrow for another exciting episode of As the Daily Brief Churns. All right, guys, have yourselves a great day. All the best, and bye for now.